In this episode, we're talking about how to find the ultimate bass fishing pond or bass fishing lake in your area. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do this. There's been a lot of videos out there, but I promise you, stick through the end. I'm going to share some things that probably you haven't thought about. It's just going to help you find that magical bass fishing pond that's loaded with biggins after biggins. And we're talking about low pressured ponds is what we're ultimately looking for. As far as the high pressured ponds, there's the park systems. Most places have some type of park system. They have ponds, they stock it. The problem with that is you get a lot of people in there, right? You get a lot of people, especially in the summertime. It's crowded, it's packed. I fish them, but again, it's extremely tough, And then there's also the city. There's always, a lot of cities have a pond. And again, sometimes you don't even need a fishing license in there. And they stock it too. And again, that has a tendency to get crowded also. But what we're really talking about is finding that magical pond. And I personally believe that there's a magical pond in everybody's area, and you just haven't found it yet. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to find it and what to do, really. Again, what big thing is you could talk to people. If you're in your buddies that are bass fishing, you could talk to them, ask them where they fish, ask them where they have success. And that's a great way to kind of get a feel for what are people doing around you. There's bass fishing forums pretty much for every city, pretty much for every area. Go on Google, search up your area, and there's usually somebody posting something about where they're fishing and the success that they are having. Again, parks is a great thing. Now, I've had a lot of success at parks. I have a pretty big park system where I live. For the most part, they stock trout, but I have found a couple nuggets in the park system, and usually those are the ones that are pretty much, they're nasty. I mean, they're just nasty. They're covered with algae or hydrilla, and most people aren't going to fish that, right? They want those big ponds, those clear ponds that they could throw out the whopper ploppers and crankbaits and all the other type of good stuff. But if I find a pond, especially within the park system, again, there's a lot of information out there. Usually they tell you when they stock it. There's people that post pictures. I found this one pond. I mean, it's nasty. I mean, it has hydrilla, really, really thick hydrilla. And in the summertime, it's like coated with this slime on there. And I go out there, and really nobody fishes it. First off, a lot of people don't know how to fish it. And second off, they just don't want to deal with that. I mean, every time you're reeling in, you got the slime on your line, your lure. But I love those places just because, hold on, a lot of people fish there. So that's a great opportunity to get into one of those ponds. It's stocked. It's maintained. And for the most part, there's going to be some big bass in there, and the pressure's low. There's also clubs. This is one thing that really, a lot of people don't even talk about. There's fishing clubs. Sometimes it's hunting clubs that have a pond on there, and they'll let you fish. Most of them are catch and release. But hey, if you have to spend a little bit of extra dollars to find that honey hole, and you can go out there and fish, that's a great opportunity. Now, I know there's a couple ones around me, run like right down the road. It's fairly expensive. So I never fished there, I never joined there, but I have taken a look at the pond. It looks like a really nice pond. From what I understand and from what I read on the forums, not a whole lot of people fish there, but again, that's extremely expensive. But I know there's places around me that have clubs. That's another great opportunity. And they have ponds on some land, and you can go out and fish. The other thing is talking about clubs, join a fishing club. Pretty much most major cities or around major cities has some type of fishing club. Might not be bass fishing specifically. For me, it's big trout fishing. But you could join those clubs. A lot of them are free. And you just get to meet people. And a lot of times they'll tell you, they're into trout fishing, but hey, I'm really into bass fishing. And they might give you some tips and some great places to bass fish, right? So that's another way to kind of get these ponds that are I don't want to say off the grid, but again, away from that park system or the city. The biggest one, here's the juice. I'm telling you, driving around could help. I mean, I found the pond that I fish at the most is driving around by accident. I was driving around like, oh, turn over, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I've been living here, I've been fishing for over 35 years. I never even knew that pond was there. I was like, huh, I gotta check it out. It was actually in the wintertime. I was like, I gotta go check it out. As soon as I got home, I took the street name, I went on the Google Maps, I looked at it, I'm like, that looks like a pretty nice pond. I'm gonna go check that out in the spring. This is the time that you should be finding these ponds. You know, driving around is one thing, right? And really the big thing that everybody talks about is Google Maps. And you open up Google Maps and you can look and find ponds. But I'm gonna narrow it down for you. And this is the juice. This is really ultimately the juice. Look for schools, malls, industrial parks, and highways, right? Typically when they build a highway, or even the turnpike where I live, and it's a turnpike, there's ponds all over the place. Malls, typically when they build a mall, even though they could have built a mall 20, 30 years ago, there's usually some type, they need to put that water someplace. And there's usually a retention pond or a bigger pond. And even if it's 20 years, there's probably bass in there, either ducks or geese, or, somebody stocked it, they don't fish it anymore. Those are places that are just off the grid in my opinion. There's a mall over by me. I haven't fished it yet. I've checked it out. I've gone down there. I'm checking it out this year. I'm super excited. It's hard to get down. Some of these places are hard to get to. It's on a big steep hill to get down there, but I'm definitely going to do it. The place I fished, when I found it on the driving Google Map, it, I'm like, there's 4 other ponds. And I was like, holy cow, there's 4 other ponds. I fished all 4 of them. I've actually fished 2 of them a lot. Never caught anything, but it's worth a try, right? Check out. So you go on Google Maps. Check again. I know there's high schools. There's 2 specific high schools. There's a pond in front of the one high school, and the other high school, it's all the way back in the property. Again, nobody's really fishing there. The public knowledge or the public information out there isn't that great. So those are like the places you could find. Use Exxon Map. Now that's an app. It does cost money, but you can get a 7-day free trial. That's what I do. I put in my Google account and get my 7-day free trial. I check it off. It'll give you who owns it. It'll give you the property line. Yeah, that's great. I found some places that I found off of golf courses, on backside of golf courses. Checked it out. I went on X Map, checked it out, found it was some business. Hey, I fished there. The hardest thing to do these days is go knocking door to door and ask people. Now, 35 years ago, me and my dad used to do it all the time and have great success. I could tell you, I probably tried maybe 20 times in the last 6, 7 years, and I bombed out 0 for 20. People tell me it's a liability. People tell me no. People are like, I haven't done it. I was like, I have a YouTube channel, and you can check it out, and I'll give you my license, and you can check out all my information. It's just me fishing. I'll put everything back. It's all catch and release from it. And they still said no. 0 for 20. So that's the hardest thing to do. But I'm telling you, I have found a lot of great places to fish around, again, highways, turnpikes, malls, industrial parks. You can even try neighborhoods. I kind of recommend not going into neighborhoods. Typically there's HOAs involved with that. And you park your car and you go. I've actually gotten kicked out last year. Me and my son went to a neighborhood. Now, I've seen people fishing there all the time. I've seen people fishing there all the time. Probably for the last 15 years. I made a commitment. I told my son, I was like, Gregory, we're going to go check it out. We're going to go during the week. We're going to go check it out. We fished maybe 45 minutes and we got kicked out. But I see people fishing there all the time. I'm like, okay. I kind of have a tendency to stay away from neighborhoods. And unless you can find a pond in a neighborhood that's kind of tucked away and outside of houses. And, again, that could be a great possibility. But when I'm on Google Maps looking, I'm just not like Googling around my area, I'm just looking around. I'm pinpointing on those types of things. Again, industrial parkways are huge. I'm telling you, if you find industrial parkways or you have industrial parkways by you, most likely you'll have some type of pond someplace around there. They have to have water flowing to someplace. Now again, sometimes they have, they pipe it out and there's nothing. But majority of the times, those big industrial parks have some type of pond or some type of retention pond that you could ultimately get it done. I'm telling you, that's the nugget of fishing. I typically, like I said, I fish park ponds. I fish a lot of different things. But my biggest success is two things. If it is a park or a city pond, the nastier it is, the better it is for me because people won't fish it. The harder it is to get into a place, people won't fish it. It takes away all those kids. No offense, I got kids, I got 3 kids. But it takes away that mom or that dad or that grandpa or grandma taking their kids and fishing. It takes away from that whole population. And you're gonna find some people there fishing. Even the place I fish, there's people fishing there all the time. But there's not as many. It's public ponds. 98% of the ponds I fish are public ponds. Anybody could fish them. But you gotta find those gold nuggets. And that's really what you're looking for. All I'm looking for is places that I know kids aren't gonna fish, and it's really hardcore fishermen. And I know that's gonna reduce my pressure on that pond, and I'm gonna have more success. If I can find a pond that's like tucked away in the woods, and I gotta walk a half a mile, again, not a whole lot of people are gonna do that. And back in my mind, I'm like, cha-ching. I fished this place. It was on industrial park. It was up on top of a hill. The pond was down back. There was a highway that came through. And I was lucky enough to find it on Google Maps. And I'm like, oh, I gotta go check this out. And I had to go down, and it was cattails up over my head, 7 feet, and it was extremely hard to get to. I mean, extremely hard to get to. And then when you got down in there, right? It's like Kay's Branch. Kay's Branch telling me all the time, he goes down into these places, you gotta go down a cliff. Same thing, I went down, big cattails, went through. I fished like 3 times, didn't catch anything. I was like, I'm done, right? 3 times, I don't catch anything. But it's definitely worth a try. If there was bass in there, I guarantee you nobody else is fishing there. And again, the city owns it. So I didn't have to worry about talking to the owner. I don't have to worry about talking to somebody else. I parked my car by the building, walked down there, and I fished. It's pretty much most of the places I fish. I park it in an industrial parkway, park it in the parking lot, grab my gear, and I'm going, and I'm golden. There is, trust me, there is places in your area. You just have to search them and you have to find them. So stick with these keys. If they're public, if they're park system, find the nastiest pond you could find. There's bass in there, you'll get it done. Learn how to fish it. Because nobody else is fishing it, it gives you the best opportunity to catch big bass after big bass all day long. Second off, when you're looking at Google Maps, concentrate on highways, turnpikes, malls, industrial parks, schools. Look for those areas and look around those areas. I guarantee you, you're gonna find a couple. I guarantee you not a whole lot of people are fishing there and it's getting it done. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really hope it helps. You know, finding a new bass fishing pond, it could be exciting, it could be challenging, but it could also be really, really fun. Especially if you come across that one, you're like, huh, that's money. I'm gonna stick with that. That's the exciting piece of it. And I know once you go do and you use these tips, you'll be finding those magical, those golden nuggets of bass fishing ponds and just getting it done. All right, if you guys made it this far, please, please, please hit the like. It helps the algorithm. Trust me, it helps the algorithm. Please drop a comment below. The more comments I get, I respond to all the comments. It helps the algorithm, helps more than anything else to grow this channel. Greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to check out all the links or everything you guys know. Everything's all down below. Greatly appreciate it. And I'll catch you next time on Getting It Done Fishing.